Well, at the
Let's
risk of
just get
sounding
ready, but
redundant, at the risk of sounding
yes.
redundant, another exemplary set.
Yeah, they've been on a tear since the first note of the first show, I have to say. It's a pleasure to be sitting here at home watching it through the miracle of Nugs Net, I have to say, everybody. Let me run down the first set for you real quick, and then we'll get on to other business. They open with a nice sprightly Deal, Shakedown Street, Big Boss Man, a lovely It Must Have Been the Roses, the old cowboy medley of Me and My Uncle Into Mama Tried, and then If I Had the World to Give, featuring the wonderful vocal of Oteil Burbridge, and they close with Let It Grow. A very, very well played set. And if you're watching this as the free preview of set 2 on YouTube, and you decide you want to watch the whole thing, you can convert you can buy the broadcast for tonight, watch the second set live, and then go back and watch the first set that I just listed out for you, because it's all included. And once you start watching, you have 48 hours to watch it as many times as you want. That's just one of the many things that Nugsnet wants us to tell you about in this brief commercial interlude before we go on to our interview.
Right. Nugs has an amazing variety of services for the live music freak, and I think we all qualify here. Um, a streaming service through which you can constantly listen to this deep library of music made up entirely of live recordings of many bands that we're sure you love, including Dead and Company and other Grateful Dead offspring. They have Wilco, they have Pearl Jam, they have Bruce Springsteen. There's a lot more great music on Nugs. You can also get high quality downloads in a variety of formats. The simple MP3 just to play on your phone, or if you want to get really deep into the high res stuff, you can get the highest possible res recordings. So much to offer on Nugsnet, and we are such fans of the operation. We use it ourselves a lot in our professional life and for sheer pleasure. And you can get a free trial by going to nugs.net and just see what they're offering. And once again, you can subscribe to individual shows from this tour or still get the complete package, even though we are past the halfway point in the tour. You can go back and watch the whole thing retroactively. It's a fantastic service. It allows you to travel in time, go through many eras of this music. Yeah.
The tour has been fantastic, I have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, we're watching every bit of it as part of our gig here, and so I've been sort of taking careful notes every night. Also, because I'm sort of thinking about things to play on my radio show, The Grateful Dead Hour. So I'm sort of even keeping timings on things, and it's really been nice to be listening closely and critically, and I'm enjoying all of it. It's just so well played and so inspired.
Yeah. And my brother, who's staying here with us, was listening to it and just commenting enthusiastically on the incredible detail in this mix. It sounds so good. Every instrument crystal clear. You can hear the smallest nuances in the music, and it's a really great way to experience this music. Being at the show is pretty nice too. I'm not putting that down, but hearing the music and seeing it in this beautiful HD or 4K video is really something for us couch potatoes, and we couldn't be happier to be bringing it to you. But let's bring our guest to you right now. You know, this show is from Bethel, New York, aka the former Yasgur's Farm. So we thought there could be no more appropriate guest than a guy who was there 53 years ago. David, why don't you do the honors?
Well, just because he's my neighbor here in the East Bay of California, sure, why not? I'm proud to call him a friend and a personal hero of mine. Let's say hello to Wavy Gravy.
Good morning. What we have in mind is breakfast in bed for 400,000, which is when we introduce hippies to granola. What is this, Scrabble?
Really?
No, you like it.
I availed myself. I availed myself of some Hog Farm granola on that weekend and some very tasty brown rice as well, Wavy. So thank you.
Some people think brown rice is ordinary rice. Brown.
Well, it's great to have you here. You're looking great, in fine spirits, and we couldn't think, as I said, of someone more appropriate than to join us on this particular night from this particular venue. Because as you told us before, you survived 3 Woodstocks.
Three, count them. The first
Yeah,
one
we
made me
don't really.
famous. The second 2 got me paid.
Very good. Well, you learned a lot of interesting things at Woodstock. I remember there's a film about you called Saint Misbehavin' that I would recommend to everybody who's watching this right now.
Oh,
Beautifully
thank you.
made film about your life. And there's a story that you tell in there about how you and the hog farm kind of invented peer counseling on the fly there for people that had had a little too much. That's one of the many, many things I've learned from watching you all these years, Wavy.
Pull up to the pier and tread water. Kissing builds up your mouth. That's something I try to share.
But yes, the thing about the hog farm were really, to me, the miracle of Woodstock. Like, things that could have gone horribly awry did not, and the fact that people who were keeping things, if not under control, on a more even keel, were not big security guards or cops or state troopers or anything like that. Although we have to say the National Guard and everyone else did chip in, but the hog farm really sort of introduced this concept of, people who were your peers, who looked like you, who were hippies.
And just as hippies, yeah. And we were given armbands. The promoters wanted to know how many we wanted, and Ken Babs from the Pranksters said, "Well, how many people are you expecting?" They said, "A few million." He said, "Well, that'll be sufficient." No, we settled on a few hundred and sent people out into the crowd, and they saw somebody act responsible, they give them 5 armbands and said, if you see somebody act responsible, give them some armbands. And after that festival, a lot of people were wearing those darn armbands because we're all police up against the teepee.
Well, as David said, the film Saint Misbehavin', made by a wonderful documentarian named Michelle Ezrick, tells so much of your story that people don't know. The pre-Wavy Gravy Hugh Romney had lived several lives that were incredibly amazing. I first encountered you as Hugh Romney with the Yippies, and but before you were an activist, you were a stand-up comic and a poet and a guy organizing poetry and music at the Gaslight Cafe. And tell some of the people you opened for as a comic.
I opened for John Coltrane and Thelonious Monk. I toured with Monk. That was my oh God, it was so wonderful to be hanging out with that guy and changing hats, and he had a great sense of humor, and he could certainly crawl all over them ivories.
Right.
And my rainbow teeth.
Mm-hmm.
They're fake teeth, but they're colorful. And they work.
I'm not sure we're going to be maintaining a thread very well here, Gary.
Well, linearity is overrated, I've always thought.
There's also a podcast. Let's talk about the podcast about you that's happening right now. I brought up the older film, but we should talk about the podcast that's currently dropping, as they say.
What is that? My nose full of dribble for decades, or where do we begin?
What is the name of the
older days when I used to read my poetry at the Gaslight Cafe,
right?
And then segued from that into opening for John Coltrane and Thelonious Monk and reading my poetry before those guys played amazing music, and that was exciting and thrilling. And then segueing from that into rock and roll with bands like the Grateful Dead, who I became very close friends with, and ran a summer camp where a bunch of their kids went to Camp Winter Rainbow,
which is still thriving.
Yes, it is. And it's a circuit for those who don't know. It's a circus and performing arts camp. We have about 150 kids and about 15 teepees. And it's something really extraordinary about falling out in a teepee. It kind of tunes your brain. That conical vector, I enjoy it very much, and we make them. And well, we being a hog, strange these headaches. Mouth, uh, Dorji Doma makes teepees, and if anybody wants one, hey, give us a jingle and we'll hook you up. You can have a teepee in your yard.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who grew up, people younger than me, as most people are, who grew up at Camp Winter Rainbow, and they all turned out to be such exemplary human beings. Some of the best people I know were Camp Winter Rainbow kids, and they learned so much about living there, and so much about community, and so much about sharing
And
and
juggling
kindness.
and tightrope and trapeze. I call it survival in the 21st century, or how to duck with a sense of humor and a whole lot of compassion. Pass the
Yes.
compassion.
Indeed.
Yes. And
Hey,
so,
I did want to get back to what David mentioned. There's a podcast going on called American Prankster, Wavy Gravy's life story. A wonderful woman named Rainbow Valentine has put it together. So can we talk about that a little bit?
I, my amnesia. I began as a poet at the Gaslight Cafe in New York, the Cement Apple, and then I segued that into a ride to colorful California, where I turned into a friend and buddy of well, the camp there and the Grateful Dead kids. Children went to camp, and I went to the Grateful Dead. It was a pass
but
out and
also
pass
have been,
over and pass into something completely different and more fun. And it's more possible to take on the tough stuff when you got the cool tunes to back you up.
Indeed.
very
You've
true.
been around the Grateful Dead for a very long time, and they were instrumental in helping to launch something that's amazingly dear to your heart, which is the Seva Foundation.
Yes, it's service and performing arts. Well, well, seva is a Sanskrit word that means service to humankind, and what we work on is curable and preventable blindness. Is 80% of the people in the world that are blind don't need to be blind and can get their sight back for about when we started out $5. Now it's about 50, but still, a cataract surgery in the third world. Uh, $50 and they're not bumping into stuff. That's a good deal.
Indeed.
And
It's
we've
just
helped
one of
8
many.
million people right now. 8 million people are not bumping into shit. Can I say poop?
Yes, you
Yes,
can.
absolutely.
Poop. Not bumping into poop because of Seva. It's spelled SEVA. It's a Sanskrit word that means service to humankind. And we
Yes.
just picked up on the blindness part.
And for
And
those
you
who
can
wish
go,
to make a donation, that would be seva.org, seva.org. And you can also look on their site for many of the wonderful works that they've been doing over the time. I was there at the press conference in December of 1979 when you guys announced its existence. Bob Weir looked like he'd just been awakened from a deep sleep a few minutes before the press conference. But you and Ram Dass and Larry Brilliant, everybody else delivered the goods pretty well at that press
Ooh,
conference
the
and
cast
launched the
of
thing in
players, yes.
style.
And what a thrill to be able. It's so easy for me to go up to musicians. It's tricky to get musicians to play for free, but if you can say play and blind people won't be bumping into shit on the other side of the world, they will consider that. That's something that it's not hard for me to toss that particular fantasy to reality. And like I say, 8 million people are not bumping into shit because of Seva.
Well, you
it's a
have a pretty
fantastic
impressive
thing.
Rolodex too. It must be noted.
great musicians that started at Woodstock and beyond. And I
Indeed.
got all their phone numbers. I know where they live.
That's right. And you are very persistent, sir. Although you don't have to be because they're
I
so
am
generous.
tenacious, Mr. Ward.
They-
Give me a
but
T.
but Wavy, I honestly don't know a musician who would deny you anything because you are so loved and so well regarded by all these people. And my light just fell down, so
Oh my
technical
God.
difficulties abound. That's all right. I'll
That's
hold
funny.
it up.
It's
Get yourself up.
It's funny that because during this interview, my wife came in and adjusted my light, and then she came back in and turned it off altogether. So it's funny that your light fell over
Right.
in the middle of this same interview. Sorry, Wavy, we're just having a little meta dialogue here around you.
That's okay. Wavy,
You-
if you sit where you are, this is the first time in the interview that you've actually been centered on the screen. But being off center is pretty much a lifelong condition with you, so it's okay.
And
No
just
matter
hold
where you
still.
are in the
Thanks.
frame, you're okay. But I want to go back. You know,
Since
since
you can't see my propeller, I'm wearing a propeller hat. It's got a rainbow propeller. Look at that, and it glows in the dark, which is
I
really
keep wait-
nice.
I keep waiting for that look to come back, but you never let it go. So, Wavy, since we have pretty much thrown linear narrative out the window in this interview, I do want to go back to the Gaslight Cafe for a minute because many people may not
Please.
know that you were instrumental in one particular person getting some of his first shots at the Gaslight Cafe, and he even crashed in your place above the Gaslight Cafe for a while. You want to tell a little about that guy who some people might have heard of?
Well, you're not talking about Tiny Tim, are you? No.
Well, that other guy, the kid from Minnesota.
Oh, him, the Bobster,
Yeah,
the Bobster, the freewheeling foot tapper from Hibbing. Yes,
right.
and my dear wife Jahanara went to the University of Minnesota with him, even. So we've
Right.
got many hooks into that boy, and we don't chat too much these days, but it's nice to have been there and done it. And my wah is being adjusted. There I am.
Right there.
Every time I center it, I go sideways.
It's okay.
Hey, I'm right in the middle, stuck in the middle.
You know, Wavy. If you hadn't already written an autobiography, every time I'm centered, I go sideways wouldn't be a bad title.
Oh, sideways is my secret. And easy greasy, you've got a long way to slide, and I do it sideways.
So is Camp Winter Rainbow happening this summer?
Of course.
Okay.
But
How
not
do people
so
get
much
there?
because of the disease. We are limited, and but everybody is inoculated and ready to rumba. And of
Great.
course,
Well,
we're doing it.
Right, and we encourage people who want to foster creativity in their kids, and as we said, community and kindness and all that they check out Camp Winter Rainbow if you are in Northern California, especially.
And we also do a week or so for grown-ups. You can learn juggling and tightrope and trapeze and unicycling and tall stilts. And hey, history is a list of surprises. Let's come and play. Because if you don't have a sense of humor, it just isn't funny anymore.
Right.
He's right about
Toward
that.
the
So
fun,
campwinterrainbow.org.
Right.
Org, yes.
Org.
Yes,
Org.
we tame the orgs. And the kids are amazing. I learn everything I know from short people.
Yeah. Well, Wavy, anything else in the plans for Seva? I know you couldn't have an in-person benefit this year, but if there are other ways that people can support Seva, we did say go to seva.org.
Yeah, and get on the mailing list, because when the big concerts begin to occur again, and everybody is sure interested and is going to do it, it's very hard for an artist when I come up to them and say, "Hey, you want to play for 20 minutes to make blind people see on the other side of the world?" And it's hard for them to say no, Wavy. It depends on the date and the timing. That's all it ever depends on, is the timing and the date. And then if it fits, they're on. And we've got a roster that stretches from here to eternity, as Burt Lancaster rolling in the surf with, what's his honey's name?
Deborah Carr.
Deborah Carr.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, they were down in groovy.
So, and yeah, as you said, there have been some perennial Seva supporters. Of course, the guys from the Grateful Dead, people like David Crosby, Bonnie Raitt has always been there for Seva.
Jackson
Brown. Yeah, Jackson has always been there for just about every good cause. Yeah.
Yes, Jackson's our main slice. We always go to Jackson because he adores Seva and has been to Camp Winter Rainbow, and his relatives have been to Camp Winter Rainbow, and he's a dear friend. And in fact, almost everybody are friends. It's a network of friends, because they know this is not some kind of rip-off scheme. This is the real deal, and that means on the other side of the world, blind people aren't being blind anymore and not bumping into stuff. And when you're blind, it's difficult. When you're not blind, it's better, more better, way more better. So there.
All right. Well,
I understand.
Anything else you'd like to impart, Wavy?
It's a slam and a dunk, and kissing builds up your mouth.
Excellent. Well, we're going to take it back to the stage now.
If you don't have a sense of humor, it just isn't funny anymore. That's
all right. Well,
that's my nose full of dribble for the moment.
Yeah, well, humor has always been an integral part of what you do, and that's one of the things I appreciate about you most. And it also helps to diffuse confrontation a lot of the time. If you throw in some humor and some wit and some joy.
When you're laughing.
Right. Exactly. Well, Wavy, we are told the band is going to start migrating back to the stage momentarily for the second set.
Oh,
so
excellent.
We are really happy to have you with us. It's always a joy to spend some time with you, and good to see you feeling so good. We want to send out a word, some healing words to our dear friend, your manager, Mark Margolis, who was unable to assist you because he came down with the thing. He tested positive for the thing. Yeah. So we want to thank Hog Farm family member Casper for jumping in at the last minute to help.
Hey, Casper, you got a shout out.
Hell yeah.
All right.
and Ja, too, who I expect is right outside the frame helping keep things together.
Oh, Mrs. Gravy in the hall.
Absolutely.
All right. So we'll send our love to Mark.
Paul.
We send our love to you. Everybody, enjoy the rest of the show. Wavy, we hope to see you in person very soon.
Oh, absolutely, positively, 4th Street.
All right.
In the future.
Take care, everybody.